Councils need to stick to the basics. Pick up the rubbish, fix the pipes, fill in the potholes. And they also need to live within their means. And that's why we are introducing a rates cap to ensure that councils stay focused on the basics and that they also stay accountable to their local community. When councils hike rates to build fancy public toilets or excessive bike lanes, you're the one that's paying for it. And it's got to stop. This rates cap will ensure that councils keep rate increases under control and reduce pressure on your household budget too.
The New Zealand government just announced they're going to save you money, but they won't actually save you any money until 2029. That's 4 years away. 4 years. And here's what they're not telling you. By then, your rates will have doubled, maybe tripled. I'm about to show you how they executed one of the most concerning political strategies in New Zealand history. Everyone's been screaming about council rates, right? Your rates bill keeps exploding every year. Some families are paying hundreds more than they used to. So when the government finally said, we're going to cap your rates at 4%, people actually celebrated. Finally, someone's going to stop councils from dramatically increasing costs for families. But then you read the fine print. This cap doesn't start until 2029. Not next year. Not the year after. 2029. Here's what this timeline actually means for your wallet. If you pay $3,000 in rates now and councils increase them 8% every year for 4 years, you'll be paying $4,080 by 2029. Then the cap kicks in at that inflated baseline. You're locked into paying that higher amount forever. But wait, it gets worse. The government knows exactly how bad this crisis is. Rates have exploded 35% over 3 years. Inflation during that same period, only 13%. That means councils are charging families nearly 3 times more than actual cost increases justify. Some councils have hammered residents with 65% increases in 3 years. If you were paying $2,000 3 years ago, you're now paying $3,300. That's an extra $1,300 per year. Families are being priced out of their own neighbourhoods. And the government's solution: wait 4 years and maybe we'll help. Here's what really exposes their priorities. When the government wanted to scrap pay equity claims, they did it in one morning. One morning. They saved $12.8 billion instantly. But a rates cap, that apparently takes 4 years to figure out. They can move at lightning speed when they want to. But when it comes to helping you, suddenly everything needs years of planning. Now here's where it gets really concerning. The mayors aren't even pretending this will work. Wayne Brown runs Auckland Council. He immediately called the cap impossible. This is the same guy who promised to keep Auckland rates low. Then he proposed a 7.9% rate increase for 2026. That's nearly 8%. So much for keeping rates manageable. Andrew Little runs Wellington. He warned that councils will just shift costs elsewhere. Can't put up your rates? Fine, they'll charge you $50 to use the swimming pool, $20 to borrow library books, $100 for rubbish collection. Same money leaving your pocket. Just different ways of taking it. But here's the part that raises serious questions. The cap includes something called exemptions. That means councils can ignore the cap whenever they have a good excuse. Natural disasters. That's an exemption. Climate change, probably an exemption. Old buildings that need fixing, definitely an exemption. Every council will find an excuse. Wellington spent $2.3 million on a toilet block with rainbow lights. Watch them call that essential community infrastructure. The exemptions will be bigger than the cap itself. Here's what really shows you how broken this system is. Wellington Council had 17 people earning over $200,000 a year in 2020. Now they have 39 people earning that much. While you're struggling to pay your rates, they've more than doubled the number of people getting massive salaries. That's your money paying for their lifestyle upgrades. Meanwhile,
why is this government so slow at introducing things? Rates cap, finally, great policy, not until 2029. Give us taxpayers and ratepayers some relief. Now, let's call this delay what it is. It's a masterclass in political uselessness. People need help with the cost of living now, not in 2029, with a rates cap to be introduced in 1,440 days. It's like watching someone discover a fire in their kitchen and respond by saying, right, let's schedule a hui about extinguishing options.
But here's what's really happening with the political timing. This announcement came right after National's polling dropped. They needed good headlines. Government caps rates. Sounds amazing. But the reality is buried in the timeline. By the time this cap actually starts, there might be a completely different government in power. So they get credit for announcing it, but they don't have to deal with actually making it work. It's a sophisticated political strategy. Promise future help while avoiding present responsibility. Meanwhile, councils know exactly what's coming. They have 4 years to jack up your rates as high as they want before any cap kicks in. Auckland's already started. That's 7.9% increase for 2026. That's just the beginning. Here's what makes this even more frustrating. The Taxpayers Union has been fighting for rate caps for years. They've shown it works in other countries. The research is done. The models exist. Jordan Williams from the Taxpayers Union pointed out the obvious flaw. Councils now have 3 years to maximise rate increases before the cap takes effect. It's like telling a shoplifter, "We're going to install security cameras in 4 years, so you better behave." What do you think they're going to do for the next 4 years? Other countries don't approach this the same way. When the UK wanted to cap council taxes, they did it within months. Australia did the same thing. Most places move from announcement to action quickly. Only New Zealand announces policies that won't help anyone for nearly half a decade. But here's where the timeline becomes really questionable. The government says councils need time to adapt. Simon Watts explained, "These new rules will be a big change, and councils will need time to adapt, which is why there will be a transition period starting from January 1st, 2027. Time to adapt to what? Spending less money. How much time do you need to figure out how to not waste ratepayers' cash? The transition period starts in 2027, but actual enforcement doesn't begin until 2029. That's 2 more years of transition, where councils can basically do whatever they want. Here's what this really means for your family. For the next 4 years, your rates will keep climbing. Councils will maximise every increase they can get before the cap starts. Your household budget will get tighter every year. Less money for groceries, less money for your kids, less money for anything that actually matters to you. And the politicians who promise to help, they'll keep making speeches about how they're working on it. But here's the concerning aspect about those exemptions. The government says councils can exceed the cap for exceptional circumstances. But who decides what's exceptional? A regulator that doesn't exist yet, with rules that aren't written. Gisborne's mayor is already asking for exemptions for cyclone recovery work. She said, "We would like to see what are the parameters for those exemptions. Does it apply to work we need to do in the next while?" Every council will claim they're dealing with exceptional circumstances. Climate change adaptation, earthquake strengthening, infrastructure renewal, all potentially exceptional. The exemption framework could completely destroy the cap before it even starts. Here's what the numbers actually show. Councils face nearly $48 billion in water infrastructure costs over the next decade. The government's solution? Let councils borrow more money to pay for it, while ratepayers get a cap that doesn't start for 4 years. They're encouraging councils to go into debt to give you a break you won't see until 2029. Meanwhile, councils like Auckland are already planning massive rate increases. Wayne Brown's 7.9% proposal for 2026 is described as reflecting the opening of the City Rail link. So they're hitting you with higher rates to pay for projects that should have been properly budgeted years ago. But here's what really exposes the government's approach. They can implement policy changes instantly when they want to. The pay equity changes affected billions in spending and happened within months. But helping ratepayers apparently requires a 4-year development timeline, a 2-year transition period, and a regulatory framework that doesn't exist yet. It's almost like they don't actually want to help you. Here's the reality check you need. Both Labour and the Greens oppose this rates cap entirely. So even this delayed, watered-down version faces political opposition. If National loses the next election, this whole policy could disappear. You'd be left with nothing, except 4 years of maximum rate increases. There's no legitimate reason this needs to take 4 years, except political considerations. This rates cap isn't a solution. It's a 4-year delay disguised as action. And the longer you accept this approach, the more money you'll lose while you wait for help that might never come. Your family deserves better than empty promises and 4-year timelines. The question is, what are you going to do about it?
Our message to councils is clear. Focus on the basics. Live within your means and be more transparent and accountable to the communities in which you serve.
You can't have 3% inflation and 9.5% increase in rates every year. And I just think councils, when you're building a $2.5 million toilet block in Wellington that's got a light show on it, I think we have jumped the shark, as I would say. That is a point when we have lost all sensibility, because that is just dumb stuff, and the dumb stuff has to stop.